Welcome to a Hero's Welcome podcast, where stories, healing, and culture meet. Every episode, we invite you to listen, reflect, and be curious.
This podcast is a space for mental health therapists where we talk about the real work of healing.
Whether you're a mental health professional, a proud geek, or somewhere in between, you're in the right place.
So let's jump in.
Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of a Hero's Welcome podcast. I'm your co-host, Maria, and I'm here joined with my lovely co-host.
That's me, Liliana Baylon, and we're here with a special guest, Heather. For anyone who does not know about you, how would you like to introduce yourself to our audience?
So I am Heather Fairlee Denbrough. I am a licensed clinical social worker and registered play therapist supervisor. I'm also a super proud certified synergetic play therapy supervisor. And I have worked for 16 years in community mental health in Vancouver, Washington, where I see a caseload of children, quite a small caseload at this point. And then I also, in my specialty areas, and then I also supervise 5 other therapists who are either pursuing their RPT or exploring their interest in play therapy and sand therapy. And I have a consultation practice called Playful Integration, where I do anything that I'm interested in, actually. So I do trainings and I do webinars and I do really special, tender consultation groups for play therapists.
Nice. So that's a lot. That's a lot of experience.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So Heather, what are we talking about today?
Well, as I was thinking about what would I want to talk about this in this podcast, something that has been really on the forefront of my mind lately, because I'm getting to know myself a little better, and then I'm making these really different kinds of connections with my clients, is the impact of lived experience and self-disclosure in play therapy and in therapy overall, right? And when with parents. I'm in this really interesting process so I've known that I was autistic for quite some time, when I say quite some time, not quite some time as in like my whole life, but quite some time for me as in like 3 years. It was really interesting that I didn't conceptualize that about myself before then. But then lately, I've been noticing how my self-knowledge is coming into the room in a different way. And I'm understanding children differently. I'm vibing with children differently. I feel more like myself in the room than I've really ever felt. And that's really interesting because I've been doing this such a long time. And that's why I thought it might be something interesting to talk about, is because it's also a relatively new experience for me.
Yeah, I love that. I think the term self-disclosure, right? I think anyone listening right now is like, oh my God, no.
Yeah, let's go there.
We had it integrated into ourselves in our programming.
But
yes.
More importantly, because I love when you say, as I'm getting to know myself and we're talking about life experience, I think that is the thing that they don't tell us when we're in school, right? Which is, we're giving you this foundation in regards to theory that you're going to have to throw out once you're out there practicing. And then the difference between a new therapist and a seasonal therapist is the life experience that you're talking about, which is we can bring that theory and make sense of it from treatment plan for discussion with other clinicians, but it's the life experience that makes that connection with the client.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And it's interesting because over the years, I've discovered different pieces of myself through the work with the children that I've been seeing.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that I had sensory issues until there was a day about 10 or 12 years ago, maybe even a little more, where I was reading an OT report, a really well-written OT report. Thank you, OT, who I can't remember the name of. And it said something in there was when people were first starting to talk about interoceptive differences.
Yeah.
And I read that paragraph and I just thought, oh my God, that's my whole life.
Yeah.
And I didn't know until then that that's what I was experiencing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love that. And I think that's part of, we've talked before about, right, like what we're needing to see sometimes shows up in our playroom. Like, right, sometimes in our playroom or our clinical room in general, sometimes what shows up is a mirror for ourselves as well. And it sounds like that's kind of what the experience that you had. It was like, oh, me too.
Yes.
Have some wording around what this experience is. And I'm not the only one.
Yes.
Yes. And I think that's a part of it is like when I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about here, I was like, I just want everybody to know that like you can be open
Mhm.
to the mirror.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's really hard, right? Especially with the training that we're given, with the way things like this are talked about in grad school. You're like a bad person if you care too much about your clients and like all of that, right? I think that we're taught, and I think we're taught in this particular society overall
Mhm.
to not allow ourselves to reflect.
Mm.
And so the mirror comes and we're like,
Yeah.
we're not looking at it, right? Because it feels so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I feel like a big part of my practice as a supervisor is helping my supervisees get comfortable with being uncomfortable
Mhm.
and comfortable with deep ambiguity and liminality
Yeah. Yeah.
so that we can look for the mirror. We can be in the moment and see the mirror.
But even when, right? Because I was like, ooh, let me be a devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
Because even when, and I am so comfortable, I just realized that I'm like in my, like, my head is like so into listening to you and leaning into you. But yes. And what if you're not ready? Because I
Yeah.
love when you started, which is that I did not see myself there. And what
Yeah.
happens for all of us who are therapists is that one, we're not given permission to be human in the room,
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
and which I think is a large part what you're discussing. And then two, when I'm not ready to see, and even when I'm ready to see, I'm not ready to process, and therefore I cannot integrate. It's not that I'm comfortable or uncomfortable, is that developmentally everyone goes at a different pace in order to integrate these pieces. So we
Yeah.
have to be careful also, not only as therapists, but as supervisors, which is who's in the room developmentally, where are they?
Yeah.
So that I don't project and become part of the system that told me you cannot be human in the room.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It's beautiful.
I love that. Yeah. So so since you've started kind of integrating this into your own practice and in your supervision, what has shifted for you with your own clinical work or in your supervision work?
Yeah.
So one of the things I've noticed is that I, now that I know this thing about myself and I'm getting more and more comfortable talking about it, it's becoming more like an integrated part of how I view the world, right? Like I'm allowing it to, I mean, it's always been that, but I'm allowing it to really fully become that. I feel that the connections that I'm making with the autistic and neurodivergent kids that I see are just it's so interesting. Like there's so many words that come to my mind, but the first one that kind of popped into my head was like comfortable.
Yeah.
Mm.
They're so full of ease
Yeah.
now. There's this sense of ease, right? We're just here
Yeah.
together doing what we do, doing what we want to do and being how we want to be.
Yeah.
And it's really lovely to see. I had an experience not that long ago where a young client told me slash begged me, right, to watch K-pop Demon Hunters. Okay, so I will tell you, I do not, as a person, I don't watch a lot of children's media.
Yeah.
I kind of keep the childlike part of myself for work, and I engage in a lot of other kinds of media at home, right? So I don't often watch things unless I'm like, yeah, that'd probably be pretty good for play therapy.
Yeah.
And I didn't really plan on watching that, but my kid was just like, Heather, you have to watch it. And I was like, okay, all right. And then I forgot about it for a week, right? And I came back and kid was like, did you watch it? And I was like, ooh, I kind of didn't. And they were like, I'm so disappointed.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, thank you for telling me that's how you feel about it. And I took out my phone and I put it in my calendar for the next weekend. And I was like, here it is. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I watched it and I was like, oh, wow, this is so beautiful. And I was thinking about like being 10 years old and getting to watch that and have the message be, it's actually best for everyone if you get to be exactly who you are.
Ding, 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 ding.
And I was like, this is beautiful, right?
Yes.
It's beautiful. And then, and I went back and I talked with that kid and I was like, I actually had a really beautiful emotional experience watching that. I'm so glad you told me to watch it.
Yeah.
It was, and we had this incredible conversation about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think one of the things that like, I think is so important about being able to be open to making those kinds of lived experience connections with kids is that like that child now understands that there are also adults who have experienced the things that child has experienced. And here I am. I'm a cool play therapist. People don't bother me. I have a happy life. I'm okay. Even with all of the things that I've experienced as an autistic and very, very odd child, I will say, very odd child. I've figured my life out and it's really good.
Yeah.
And I think it's like that concept of elders, right? Like even neurodivergent children need representation of neurodivergent people who are thriving and who deeply care about them.
Yeah. I love that. We could talk for hours on K-pop, and I won't. We'll do another time.
Nadia sounded like that when she asked me to watch it too.
I did. So the kiddo inviting you, that was me inviting Liliana. And Liliana was like, this is not my jam, Maria. And I was like, I know, but just give me like 2 hours of your time. And if you absolutely hate, right, like what we do with clients, if you absolutely hate, we'll never do this again.
Yep.
But this could be easily written off as like therapeutic rapport. What happened was so much more.
Yes.
So much more, right? You invested in this relationship with this kiddo. Yeah. You learned now a shared language, right? Because you can talk about having Rumi moments or Zoe moments or Mira moments, and that is a shared language.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. And again, this idea of shared experiences is so powerful. It's therapeutic rapport gets thrown under the bus, right? It's just like, be a safe person for your clients and have a connection. And we can do so much more than just be like, oh, you like that? Me too. But like, oh, you like that? This is what that means for me in my life. Tell me what that means for you in your life.
Yes.
Right? I think it's just so wonderful and beautiful. And I hope more clinicians are open to that, because it can be, we've got a lot on our plates, right? We've got our caseloads and our schedules and our documentation and all the things. And when we can have moments of, oh, I'm going to do this so that I can have a shared experience with my caseload, with my clients, with myself even, I think that's just beautiful. I think that like gold stars all the way around. And not just because I think that movie is magical and has so much healing potential. And good Lord, Liliana and I would be different adults if we had movies like that in our own childhood.
That's exactly what I thought when I was watching it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, that's why I cried. I was like thinking about being me at 10 years old, and I was the most awkward, weird, like looking at it now, I'm like, I would totally be friends with that kid. But at the time, other kids were like, you're obsessed with cryptids and the X-Files.
Excuse me, who wasn't?
Who wasn't, right? You dress like a candy cane. Like, my first like day of school at my new middle school, and I thought I was doing like the greatest thing in the world. I was like, yes, this outfit is it. Okay, it was October also. I wore this red skirt, like this really long red skirt that my mom had gotten me at the thrift store. And I wore literally this like candy cane print mock turtleneck with like a big bow on my head. And then I had, and this was like 5th grade, and then I had these crazy red shoes. And that is how I walked into a school of children who at the time were wearing flannels and Guess jeans.
I was like, where were you? Because 70s Mexico, that sounds like very familiar to me.
That sounds great to me, right? But like, yeah, I was growing up in a small town in the Midwest.
Yeah.
In the 1990s, and it was a very small, very insular, very white town, and I had moved there from a place that was very diverse.
Yeah.
And I moved there, and I was like, this feels like it was a mistake. I was like standing there in that outfit looking around, and I was like, one, I thought, where are all the kids of color?
Right.
I was so confused. I was like, why is everyone here white? That seems weird to me. And I was like, oh, nobody else is dressed even remotely like me. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay. Side note, I think if all of us who are play therapists get in a room and start talking about our experiences of children, we will all say we were at children.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For one way or another.
Yes. So I think all of us there can go and say like, hello, present.
Yeah. Shared experience. Shared experience.
Shared experience.
But I think the conversation is richer in regards to one, as a therapist, when we allow ourselves to be comfortable in our own skin, in our own life experiences, and we use it to connect with clients. Because to me, that experience that you share with your client was you follow through, you model, you ask, your world is important to me, let me go in, versus, yeah, your world is not important to me, I'm going to put it aside.
Yeah.
So that's completely different. And as a supervisor saying like, how can I help you just be outside the comfortable setting so that we can expand whatever you are ready to integrate?
Yeah.
Because it's also you developing your style, not mine, your style for the clients that you're serving. So in all of this, right, we're talking about the richness of life experience, our authentic selves, and honoring that all of us are completely different. And therefore our gifts through expression, through showing up are going to be completely different. And the self-disclosure and the importance of in regards to making those connections.
Yeah. Yep. And my kids I can't remember when I started doing this exactly, but with my kids who I share neurodivergences with, I tell them. I still remember the first time that I told a child that I am autistic, and her face was like this.
Yeah.
She just stared at me with this moment of like, whoa. And then she said, you never told me that before. We'd worked together quite a long time.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, babe, I didn't know before. I only just more recently found out. Not that long after you did.
Mhm.
And she was like, just like jaw dropped. And then we had this incredible year together working on what is that? what does it mean for me?
Yeah.
What do I need to know about my brain, myself, my nervous system?
Right.
Like, what do I need to know to feel more comfortable just being me in the world? And it was really beautiful to have this parallel process,
Yeah.
right, with this child who's a very beloved child to me. And we were able to have these moments of like, oh, yeah, you think like that too? Yeah, that's interesting. I think like that all the time.
Yeah.
And for her, I could say things like, yeah, when I was your age, that's exactly how I felt about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting to her. And I think it gave her a lot of permission
Yeah.
to explore her own self.
Yeah. Well, I think the idea that you brought up before about like elders, right? Like I know for myself growing up, I did not have examples of successful adults who I felt like had lived in my shoes before, right?
Yep.
Like had done what I was doing or struggling with what I was struggling with or saw the world the way that I saw it. It was very alone, right? Like and then it was
Yeah.
we went through a generation of it was all internalized and it must be me. I'm the weird one. It's just me. Nobody else is doing this. Nobody else is struggling in this way.
Uh-huh.
And so for therapists to be able to one be a model of like you're not alone. One, I work with others who, right? Like that was our first step of like I work with lots of kids who come in with these things. And now we've been able to take the next step of like, oh, and also I've worked with adults who have lived like this. I have my own lived experience and I get to show you that life continues, can be great, you can thrive living the way that you're living. Because I think the other thing is like, you know, early days with the terms autistic and neurodivergence and different and othering was like, oh, and your life is going to be hard and it's going to suck.
Yes. Yes.
Right. And so being able to be like, no, actually, you're going to thrive and life is going to be magical and fun for you. And yes, there are going to be hiccups and hard spots. And based on social political things, life is a little bit harder, but that doesn't mean that your life can't be what you want it to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love that.
That's exactly. Yeah. Go ahead, Liliana.
I was gonna say, like, well, think about it. We went from not talking about it and thinking that I think we learned in the training with Robert Grant and Marshall that we went from your life is over or this is a sign of weakness, there's something wrong with you, to now we're saying like, oh, this is a neurobiological, like we can go and address it. I just went to a store here in Colorado, those natural stores, and I found 3 different magazines talking about neurodivergence.
Wow.
I got them all because I was like, this is the first time that I can walk into a store and see this. I need to have this in my office.
Yeah.
So how can we normalize that? We have come a long way. There's still so many things that we have to do because we're still misunderstood at work. We're still misunderstood with colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
We went from you're weird to you're rude.
Totally.
At least that's the shirt I'm gonna be wearing. I'm not rude. But it's the assumption that is made of me.
Oh my gosh.
But like we have come a long way and we still have so much to learn. And what we do now is that the more that we normalize, humanize, and make those connections, the more the clients thrive. Because that template that they did not have before.
Yes. And I'll say, to add another layer into it, our colleagues can also then think about their own experiences. So I think the first thing that I sort of like came out about at work was ADHD because I was diagnosed with ADHD in I think it was 2015. And prior to that point, I had no idea that I had ADHD. I thought I just had massive, massive anxiety that stopped me from doing anything ever, which I do, but like it was mostly the ADHD. And I just started telling people about it because I was like, I don't know why I feel like I can't say this when it is glaringly obvious to me that there are other people at the agency who were also struggling with similar things.
Yeah.
And I just started telling people. And it was real. Since I started doing that, I've had so many experiences of people saying to me, I always kind of thought that about myself, but I never really explored it or let myself go there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they would ask, what has it been like for you? And I tell people often, realizing that I had ADHD and deciding to take meds for it was, for me, one of the best experiences I made of my adult life.
Yeah.
Because it also decreased that anxiety by 80%, which is incredible.
It's life-changing.
Yeah. And I tell people that. I say, if you have any questions about that process or about being a person with ADHD working in a, quite frankly, capitalist hellscape, right? I love my agency, but the greater systemic problems are always going to impact agencies like ours.
Yeah.
Right? They can't not. And I've tried to be very open with people because I'm also, speaking about that representation piece, people with ADHD can also be highly successful.
Yeah.
And this is not a common perception still.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to tell you, Heather, when I went to get assessed, the psychologist told me, but you're high functioning. What would you want to medicate? Which is we still have a lot of colleagues are very ignorant in regards to this. And then we have the medical field that they just there's a lot of gaps in it. Because in my case, if if you met me to a personal level, I function like there's no other. I get things. I can be multitasking. I will get all the tasks completed. I also have anxiety. But in my case, my medical team was refusing to give me medication for it because I function.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of people's experience. I was very lucky at the person. I was seeing a psych nurse practitioner who always had good experiences with psych nurse practitioners. Shout out to them. Yeah. And I was seeing someone who truly wanted to know me and picked up things about me.
Yeah.
That I didn't even pick up about myself, because when we were together, she was so present with me.
Yeah.
And she clocked it and brought it up to me, and I said, "What?" She said, "We're going to do this adult ADHD checklist and see how it goes. Check, 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 all the way down."
Yeah.
Right? And that was because I had a practitioner who wanted to understand who I was as a whole person.
Yeah.
I think it's so important because when we're adults, right? And I'm going to make some generalizations, so come at me in the comments if you want to. We are women, right? So we were raised to mask anyway.
Yes.
So we didn't get to acknowledge or see the signs and symptoms. Two, in this field still, we are working in systems that continue to perpetuate this. You can't be because you're functioning, or you can't be because you're successful. And why is it uncomfortable for us in our own profession to talk about our own neurodivergence or our needs? Or why is it still what do you mean you need an accommodation? What do you, why do you have to use terms like neurospicy or wear it like a bed? And it's in our own field and in our own organizations and systems that we have to be working within.
Yeah.
Still a thing. There's still stigma around this.
There is associations, right? It's not just where we work, it's the associations, the micromanages
Yeah.
That there's still a misconception, and then based on gender, they'll have preference on how they treat males versus how they treat females.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's really like, it's been so interesting to be totally open at work about all of my various neurodivergences. You know, I also like autism, ADHD, definitely just realized in like the last 6 months that I'm heavy PDA and I had no idea. I had no idea. Do you want to know a really funny story about that? The whole time that since I first found out about PDA, there's been something in my brain that's like, I don't need to know about that. I don't need to read about that. That's not about me. I don't need to read about that. Why would I do that? Why would I research that?
We were
It's
not
pretty
ready.
on the nose.
Yes, because it's ridiculous. It's so on the nose. But like since I've been really, you know, I also have synesthesia, I have serious sensory issues. I literally don't drive because of how bad my sensory issues are. And I just got tired of people saying, "Oh, you don't drive?" And then feeling like I couldn't just explain what it was, which was like, yeah, I have such severe sensory processing disorder that every single skill you need to be able to coordinate to be able to drive, I'm terrible at all of them separately, and then putting them together is actually worse. You know, I just got tired of feeling like I needed to like conceal these things about myself, and I was like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And if you think there's something unprofessional about me, or if this makes you uncomfortable, like that's about you, dude. Like you would need to figure that out for yourself.
Yeah, that's exactly it. When you were talking about the driving, I did heard about it. Like you didn't share that with me. Like it was shared with me, but I always remember the movie Clueless. Do you guys remember the movie Clueless?
Yeah.
This is an old movie.
As
When
if.
she says, "Why would I have to learn to park where everywhere I go, they have valet parking?" And I laugh at that time. So when you were sharing this story, Heather, I was like, why when we can get Uber or any other, excuse me.
Exactly. Like I don't have to, and I've made the decision for myself because I know myself best.
Yeah.
That it's not actually safe
Yeah.
for me to do that.
And it's none of their business.
Many people in my life who tried to influence that.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm the one who knows me. I feel like I would be really dangerous.
Yeah.
I know myself best.
Yeah.
I failed driver's ed 4 times, y'all. 4 times. That's not a coincidence. That's not just a fluke. That's like, uh-oh.
I failed once, so I mean, I had a couple more to go with you, but I failed once too.
Yeah,
I
but
think that's the important piece, right? Is like allowing individuals to say, no, for me, this is a boundary, or for me, this is a necessity. For me, this is a choice I have made, and I'm working on how to accommodate the rest of life around my own needs.
Yes.
And then extending that to clients and extending that to supervisees, consultees, right? Of like, no, maybe this is how it works for me, but if there's a better way for this to work for you, let's explore that.
Yes. And I tell that to my supervisees all the time. I say like, these are the ways that I have found to do these things, and they may not actually be the best ways for you. Yeah. And you don't have to do anything like I do. I mean, that's what I learned from, Lisa Dion, who is my greatest mentor in play therapy and in life, I think. Because the first time that I heard Lisa say, I don't want you to do it like me, I want you to do it like you. Like, what a breath of just permission, right? Oh, I get to do it like me, and I don't have to try to be like anybody else because I'm not like anybody else.
Right. And thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
Right? What a gift you are, and what a loss it would be, right? And yeah, given permission to not be inside the box that someone else has decided we were all supposed to be hundreds of years ago, and we have not reevaluated this, right? What a gift it is to be able to say, like, no, here's the basis, here's the theory, here are the strong, hard, fast rules, and then make it your own. Make it make sense for you. Otherwise, it's not authentic, right? If you can't integrate it and do it right for you, then it's inauthentic. Kids and clients know they can pick that up a mile away
instantly.
And what good are you? What good are you then if you're fake for your client?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I think sometimes people even people in the field don't understand that, like, if I'm not being myself and I'm not being the most congruent version of me that I can be, then I'm not actually in the room with the child. I'm not actually there. Right? And depending on how much I feel like I have to mask or obfuscate or be professional, like, let's even get into who decided what professionalism means anyway, which is a rant that I frequently go on, then I'm not actually there with the child. And depending on the degree of masking or the degree of dissociation or whatever it is that we feel like we have to be doing, the child may experience us as literally not present. And to me, that's not acceptable.
No, it's dangerous.
For the level of work that I choose to do, that's not acceptable.
Wow. And I'm looking at the time. I cannot believe that this is went so fast. Heather, thank you. Thank you for sharing your life experience, your aha moments, not only professional, but personal, and for us to get to know you a little bit more personal in this lovely conversation. So thank you for being a gift to our community.
Thank
you for saying yes to the podcast.
I have loved this experience. I would do this all the time with you too.
Fantastic. We'll have you come back so we can talk about who decided what professional is. That would be a fantastic conversation.
Love to.
Until next time.
Thank you, Heather.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on a Heroes Welcome podcast. We hope you found inspiration, insight, and maybe, just maybe, a little fun along the way.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with your fellow healers. Until next time, stay curious, stay playful,